This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly recap of your Philadelphia Eagles. Broadcasting live from Hard Rock Cafe in Philadelphia, tonight's show is brought to you by Penn Community Bank, Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia, Independence Blue Cross, The Capitol Grill, Rob's Automotive and Collision, and BCWSA. We now go live to the Hard Rock Cafe in downtown Center City, Philadelphia for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
And welcome to the beautiful Hard Rock Cafe at 12th and Market Street. It's the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show rolls along. The Philadelphia Eagles roll along. We'll talk about that tonight. They made a little game called the Super Bowl yesterday. You may have seen it on television. My co-host tonight, as every week, Mr. Paul Domowitch. Paul, how are you? Eagles look like they're going to the big dance, huh?
Yeah, sure does. Sure does.
All right. And we have a guy who's danced before. He won 2 Super Bowls back in the 30s, in the 80s, actually, with the New York Giants. Punted for the Eagles, too. Punted in the NFL for 23 years. And has every answer to every Super Bowl question. What's the hardest thing? What's the easiest thing? How are tickets? He'll answer it all. Is our Eagles prepared to go? Mr. Sean Landeta, how are you, buddy?
Very good, Paul. Great to see you guys, and thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being here.
Before we even get to the Eagles, and by the way, Brock Purdy out 6 months with a torn UCL in his elbow. And feel bad about that. I mean, injuries are part of the game. Eagles didn't have it handed to them by any means yesterday. They thought they played very well, but it's hard when the other team has the quarterback situation they had.
Yeah.
Sean, the Super Bowl is 2 weeks from today, or yesterday, and it's the American holiday. Everybody knows about that. You played in a couple of them. If you could tell us one thing that nobody would figure out of one great benefit of getting to the Super Bowl, being there for 2 weeks, whatever it is, and the thing that drove you crazy the most of getting there, whether it was a lag, just give us one of each if you could.
Well, interesting that the 2 times I went, the first time we had 2 weeks in between the game. The second time, I think it's the only time it's happened, we only had 1 week in between.
Yeah.
Correct. And I can't tell you what a huge difference that was. I mean, having 2 weeks was so much better because that first week went by so quickly, and our head coach, Bill Parcells, was great. The next day, Monday, after we won the NFC Championship games, he goes, look, you guys are going to be off until Saturday, okay? I want you guys to rest, get treatment. I want you to take care of everything with your family, friends, ticket, hotel, everything, because when you come back here Saturday and we fly out to Los Angeles Sunday, it's going to be all football, and we don't want anything else being a distraction. And it really worked out great. A lot of guys had a chance to go back home, see some family, get some rest, get some treatment. And, before you knew it, you were back there and you just felt refreshed. And it was just so great to have that extra week. The second time we went, it was the opposite. We beat San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl.
In Tampa.
Correct. We beat them in the NFC title game out there. So we didn't get to Tampa until 5 o'clock in the morning. We had to fly. Actually, we flew out to San Francisco on a Friday before the game Sunday. We had to send our clothes ahead to Tampa, anticipating we'd win, because from Tampa, we had to fly, from San Francisco, we had to fly to Tampa if we won, which we did. We didn't get there till 4:30 in the morning, one of the greatest plane flights you can imagine of all time. A 6-hour flight with all of us after we just won a Super Bowl. Oh, it was amazing. And
you hadn't won the Super Bowl yet.
We hadn't won it yet,
Championship
correct.
game.
Yeah, but I remember Jeff Hostetler, who was our quarterback filling in for Phil Simms. I remember I went in the training room for a minute on Friday morning. He was getting his ankles taped, and I looked at him. I'm like, Jeff, it's Friday, and it seems like we just got here yesterday. And he goes, I know, I can't believe we're playing this game in 48 hours. And, so that was very different. But the other thing that was very surprising, the NFL, everyone thinks we get all the tickets we want. They usually give you 2 to every home game, and that's it.
Every player in the NFL gets 2 to the Super Bowl, am I correct?
They have the opportunity to buy 2, which most of them do. But my first 2 Super Bowls, they said, we're going to give you 2 like the regular season and an option to buy an additional 23 per player. Now, you had to pay face value, which back then, Super Bowl 21, it was $75 a head. 4 years later, we couldn't believe it that it doubled to $150.
It's more than doubled again since then.
A
lot
there's
more.
no question. So it's one of those things that, the Super Bowl tickets ended up costing us $3,000, $4,000 a piece, but you wanted to bring your family and your friends because you never knew you'd come back. Fast forward to 2001, when I was here with the Eagles before that championship game in St. Louis with the Rams. You have to go over stuff Thursday or Friday in anticipation of you winning. And I remember they had someone from the league there talking, and he said, as far as the tickets go, we're going to do what we've been doing. We're going to give each of you 3 and an additional, I'm thinking he's going to say another 23. And he says, we're going to let you buy another 13. And I remember I was like, 13? What happened to the other 10? You know what I mean? And I thought to myself, 55 players times 10, that's 500-600 tickets. But now it's even less than that. But there's all kind of stuff like that the fans would really be interested in, in knowing.
Damo, you covered a million Super Bowls. Obviously, we'll talk about the game and what it's like to go to the Super Bowl. But what's your great Super Bowl moment? What's it like for a reporter going out for Media Day Monday night, which is the cluster of cluster you-know-whats? What about the Super Bowl rings something in your memory?
My greatest memory, and it's not a good one, was the Eagles Super Bowl in 2017. There was a stomach virus going around.
Yeah, there was. I was there.
And I got sick on game day.
Oh.
And so it started to hit like towards the end of the game. And I mean, I got down. I'm in the where they do the interviews. And
yeah,
that,
right.
Yep.
Hard Rock Cafe
my
has
assignment
all.
was
Great food takes center stage.
My assignment was supposed to be was Brandon Graham, who had the strip sack of Tom Brady, and I'm like praying, please just hold it, let me hold it, and I couldn't. I mean, so I end up running it into a corner, and thrown up, but I get back and get my story from Brandon and write it.
All. Great
and,
food takes
making
center
trips
stage
to
as
the
they
bathroom
cook.
upstairs in the
Free
press
live
room.
music every Friday night at 6.
Unfortunately, by the
Sponsored
time I had to
Concha
catch
Hock
my
and Brewing
flight the
Company.
next day,
See Philly's best.
I was feeling
Rocking
better.
The
I
main
mean, it was like a
stage
24-hour
while you enjoy
bug, but
Hard
it
Rock
was
favorites
not what
right here
the
in
way I
Center City.
expected to
Pickup,
spend.
delivering, catering available.
The Eagles.
For more
Well,
info,
like the true veteran that you are, you ended up getting it done. That had to be so difficult.
We believe in
because we all
giving you
know
the
how
tools
awful
you need to
feel
pursue your
when you're sick,
healthiest
but you had a
life.
deadline,
From
you had to
premiums
get a
as low as
story,
$0
that
per
had to
month
be
to
very
health
difficult.
discounts and cash rewards,
I thought I
it
did a good
pays to
job.
have coverage with
we were on
independence.
deadline.
With
We were
the strongest
on
network of
deadline,
doctors and hospitals in the
the
region
story turned
and
out
free
really well.
24/7 virtual
had an
doctor
ideal
visits,
topic.
you can
it
feel
was
confident
great
that quality
about the
care
most famous
is
play of
always
the
within
game.
reach. Learn more about your
but-
coverage options at ibx.com.
Okay, sorry.
Wow, I didn't know you had to go through that.
Fall into relaxation at Hand and Stone Massage and
Yeah, it was. It's like probably the only time I've thrown up in.
Jeff Hostetler and I, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night, like around 6:30, they had a place down there. There's not many of them more in Florida. It's called Miami Subs.
reset at one of Hand
Yeah.
and Stone's 57 locations in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, for an introductory price of just $69.95. Call or book
check
online
1,
at
2, 3.
handandstone.com.
Check
Restrictions apply.
1, 2,
See offer
3,
details.
4.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition
All right.
of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent
All right, sounds
fire-roasted
good. Thank
meats
you.
prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Currently featuring a holiday promotion. If you reserve your party now, your guests are rewarded with 2 gifts of your choosing. Contract required. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the
no, I
Hard
have
Rock
something for the
Cafe,
game. I may
Philadelphia,
go
in downtown Center
Tuesday to-
City for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
All righty, back here at the Hard Rock Cafe, having a little technical difficulty. Our producer Chris Sermer attending to those. Sorry about that. We'll do the best we can here at the Hard Rock Cafe at 12th and Market, the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff, talking with Sean Landeta, our guest, and Paul Domowitch, our co-host. For me, I can say personally, my bucket list moment, guys, was doing interviews from a winning Super Bowl locker room on WIP in 2018. It was a thrill of a lifetime. Merrill Reese, of course, and Mike Quick be out for this game again. It should be an amazing blast. To last night's game, obviously the Eagles win 31-7. They knocked Brock Purdy out on the 6th play. Jim Nantz, guys, during the championship game, Dom, I'll address this to you first. If I told you that that the San Francisco quarterback would start and finish the game, would not throw one incomplete pass, and would lose by 24, you would tell me what?
You're kidding me.
But it happened.
True.
You never know, Sean. And when two teams enter a field, we might predict things. We might think things are guarantees, or idiots think things are locks. But the great thing about sports, it's the play without a script, and nobody could have ever thought that script would play out the way it did yesterday.
No, I agree, and I wish it would have been played with no one hurt. I still think the Eagles would have won, but that's all part of it too. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I remember back in 1990 when we won our second Super Bowl. We started off 10-0. We lost our quarterback. We had to play with a backup quarterback, and in that championship game in San Francisco I was talking about in 1990, for several plays, our third-string quarterback, Matt Cavanaugh, had to come in because Hostetler took a shot to the knee, but he was able to come back. But you just don't know what's going to happen. That's why you got to play the game, and it was just tremendous to see the Eagles get back.
Has either of you guys, and I think I know the answer to this question like a good lawyer before I ask it, but just in case you do, have you ever seen a quarterback in any NFL game, forget a championship game, not a quarterback, a team that did not have a quarterback that could physically throw the ball and had to run on literally every play? I mean, they could have used McCaffrey. Obviously, you can use somebody to cock his arm and throw it, but totally unprecedented, Domo, correct?
Yeah, it's the first for me. I can't remember one, and I still don't quite understand why Shanahan went with Purdy. I mean, I would have put Christian McCaffrey out there, run the Wildcat, and even Christian can throw a little better than Purdy could have.
You could throw better than Purdy could have.
Yeah, exactly.
What you said before, now we know what he has. To think that you put a quarterback in a game with that injury that literally couldn't throw a ball 10 yards.
Think Bryce Harper. It's basically the same injury. Had the same surgery. He's going to have the same surgery.
In a championship game where the Eagles knew that, they had 8 within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Might as well have 11.
They could have had 11. I mean, we've never seen anything like it. But so great that the Eagles won. And I tell you, this Super Bowl could be a heck of a game. I mean, you have what I believe is the two best teams in the league. And, I mean, if all these players are feeling pretty good, it should be a great game.
And you have the Andy Reid Bowl, the Kelce's. You have so many lines, Domo, so many stories underneath the surface. It should be a blast for the media and everybody else to cover, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote for the 33rd team after the game last night on Andy's departure from Philadelphia, which was so unorthodox. I mean, usually when a coach gets fired, it's acrimony, and they threw this guy a party. I mean, they gave him a ball signed by everybody in the organization. They hugged him. There were tears, he was at the Eagles Super Bowl. Andy was, or Jeff Lurie was at when Andy won with Kansas City. I mean, it's just this is as I pointed out, this is not. You would think this would be a grudge match, a fired coach going up against his old team. It's a love story.
No, I agree. I tell you, the day that Andy Reid gets in the Hall of Fame, and it's going to happen, they may set a record. He may have more people show up on his behalf than anybody, because I was with him for 6 years, and I just can't tell you what a great person he is. He's a great coach. He's one of those guys that's not going to beat you into the ground, but he has a way about him that makes you not want to do anything wrong, and also has
That's what a great coach does, though.
And also has a way about him that if someone does, they pay a terrible price.
Right, so
it's like he doesn't do it in this awful way, but the result is so that he gets everybody's respect. It's really amazing the way he does that.
But that's the key to leadership. We all remember George Hageman running the blocking sled in the late 90s when Andy came here. You played for more than two coaches. You played for a lot of great coaches, two of them being Bill Parcells and Andy Reid. If somebody asked you, which I'm going to right now, to compare and contrast the two, what got them from point A to point B in the way they did, and what are the differences? What would you think?
They're both completely opposite in so many ways, but underneath it all, it's the same message. Be prepared, be accountable, and perform. And if you don't, a change will be made. Now, the way Bill went about it was
no mustaches on planes for Parcells?
No, you could have a mustache. Believe me,
he's drawing it on him.
He wouldn't be doing that. I was going to say he'd remind me about mine all the time, not in the nicest way, but Bill did it in a way that was very old school and very harsh, and that worked. Andy doesn't do it that way, and that works for him. So it's interesting how both of them are Hall of Fame coaches, and I'm just thinking as I'm talking to you, how about Andy now? Is he he's only trailing Belichick in playoff wins or something? Is that unbelievable?
He's 5th overall.
Yep.
but he only needs 3 more wins to pass, or 4 more wins to pass Tom Landry, and into 4th. Belichick's 3rd, and still moving up the charts.
Yeah, I mean, think about in the history of the
Yeah.
NFL, 100 and some years.
23 years.
Andy Reid.
Remember, he got the Chiefs job 10 minutes after the Eagles, so he didn't miss a season.
Here's the thing too. He's not. He's 64, I think.
Yep.
And you wonder, well, okay, when's he going to retire? As long as Patrick
When
Mahomes is throwing a
retires,
football,
yeah.
he's going to keep coaching.
Well, Mahomes did what he did yesterday, and obviously that's the primary thing for the Eagles, playing against a great quarterback, Jonathan Gannon defense, great talent. We'll see it in the Super Bowl. We'll handicap in a little while. But one big thing, guys, we were talking about before the show, the Kelsey brothers, who are both going to be in the Hall of Fame. We'll probably see the parents with the split jerseys, or one wearing one wearing the other, which is great for them. The stories in the Super Bowl are amazing.
Yeah.
No 2 brothers, by the way, are in any Hall of Fames in this country, even one in one sport, one in the other. The only 2 parents and sons are in the Hall of Fame, which is ironic today because Bobby Hull passed away this morning. Bobby Hull and Brett Hull, Mark Howe, Flyers, and his father, Gordie Howe. But as far as brothers in the Super Bowl, that's never happened before. Any thoughts on that one, Shauno?
Yeah, if you think about it through the years, there's been quite a few brothers. Not hundreds, but there's been enough that you would think that would have happened one time, and it hasn't. I know there's been a number of fathers and sons that may have played in the Super Bowl, but again, 50, we're talking 57 Super Bowl, right? 57 years, the fact that it hasn't happened is pretty amazing. And not only are they going to be brothers, we were talking about this earlier. You're talking about arguably brothers that are both the best in their respective positions in the NFL, and both that may be first ballot Hall of Famers. I mean, that's off the chart if you just think about that.
Well, we go to our Hall of Fame committee member for that one, Damo. First ballot, what do you think? Depends on both of them, the Kelseys.
Yeah, I don't think there's.
And 6th and 3rd round draft choices, by the way.
I don't think there's any doubt they go in, if not the first year of eligibility, certainly with at least one of them, maybe the second. But I think they're both slam dunks.
I mean, it'd be neat if they went in together. Obviously, they're 2 years apart. They're retired differently, but
yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Travis is going to keep playing.
Yep.
This could be it for Jason, so he has a 5-year wait. You did miss, and I realize they are not players, but considering the impact they've had on pro football, Ed and Steve Sable, father and son,
NFL Films. Yep.
So.
And it's amazing, and it is what it is. And Mr. Hurts, not in the Hall of Fame, but he is a coach. Jalen's father. Jalen played yesterday. Didn't break any stopwatches, as you would say, in a track meet with his stats, threw for 125 yards. But, guys, they ran for 4 touchdowns. Obviously, the situation with the Niners defense, just stay away from turnovers, which they did. You don't have to throw for 800 yards to have a good game, Damo. I thought Jalen played real well. You do what you have to do. Everybody loves him. He's a worker. He's in the Super Bowl. And Philly is thrilled for that, isn't it? Although his rendition of the Eagles cheer, a little off-key after the game, but not Jordan Mailata.
That was kind of painful. Yeah, I mean, no turnovers, which was the key. I mean, they haven't had any turnovers at all in their 2 playoff wins. But, I mean, they were going to take away the pass. They took away the deep ball, and they ran it. I mean, that's the beauty of that offense. They can beat you however you can't stop them. And that run game in the first quarter, they passed. I think I looked at the numbers. Maybe 12 times they passed, only ran 6 times. Then they cranked it up in the second quarter, running more than they passed. And Kenny Gainwell was productive. Miles Sanders was productive. Jalen was productive. The quarterback sneak, the 4 touchdowns, it's just amazing.
Sean, question to you. With what happened with the Niners, Purdy, Josh Johnson, who did his best, I mean, what else can you do? McCaffrey ran for the 1 touchdown. A lot of people have criticized Shanahan today in not putting McCaffrey in with a wildcat and other thing, not running a few trick plays, realizing that your A game is stopped. Let's go to the magic show. Are you surprised no fake punts, fake field goals, goofy stuff one way or the other? Not that they would have won the game, but maybe you throw a Hail Mary now and then?
Well, I was expecting maybe to see something. I know on special teams, the Eagles are probably so aware of that, that, look, they may have to do this because of their predicament. But I was so surprised he didn't put McCaffrey back there because, Paul mentioned earlier, you could snap it to him and he could run, he could pitch it. And even just to be able to throw the ball 5 or 10 yards, that's something that Purdy couldn't do. And that would have been better. But I'm interested. I didn't see the press conference. Was he asked by the media why he didn't use McCaffrey in that position, I would think that would have been a very legit question to ask, and I don't recall him being asked that.
I haven't seen the transcripts. I don't know. I know at one point after Purdy got hurt, after Johnson went down, they showed McCaffrey on the sideline, looking.
Right, I remember.
So you thought, okay, this is what they're going to do, and then they never did it. Now, granted, I mean, they tried they emptied their playbook with every kind of run formation, every kind of trick run they had besides the Wildcat. But why they never went to McCaffrey? Again, you're right. It wouldn't have made a difference probably.
Be interesting to hear. There had to be a reason.
Yeah.
Just be interested to know what it was.
But they lined up on 4th and 2 with a tailback 7 yards in the backfield and handed the ball to him. My Little League team could have stuffed that play. I mean, the Eagles did a great job, but I thought a little more creativity from Kyle Shanahan. Meanwhile, on the Eagles side of the ball, damn healthy going to the Super Bowl. Derek Barnett got hurt early in the year. Aaron Sippis, the punter. Those are the only 2 guys who are going to miss the game. Sippis may not. Who knows? But Lane Johnson comes to mind. Obviously, Jalen Hurts' shoulder is what it is. Got through another game, 2 weeks, should be fine at the Super Bowl. Lane Johnson on Nick Bosa, you didn't hear his name very much yesterday. Played another hell of a game, Damo.
He is a medical miracle. Not a miracle. I mean, he's in pain, and he's played 2 practically flawless games
against great players.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a couple sports medicine doctors that are blown away by what he's been able to do. I mean, they know the injury. I had done a story talking to one before the playoffs, and she said, "Man, he's just it's going to be painful." She was surprised if he'd make it through a half before they'd have to make a change. And again, he's just been perfect.
Yeah, it's remarkable the way he's played with that injury, and just a terrific player. I think I was wondering this at the end of the game, and I saw a stat this morning. I think they said there's 8 guys going to this Super Bowl that were on the previous Super Bowl winning team.
5.
5? I thought
Lane
they said 8.
Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Jake Elliott, Brandon Graham, and who am I missing?
Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox, yeah.
Barnett?
He's not playing.
Oh,
he might have been on the roster as a rookie, yeah.
I thought they put 8 up, but maybe that was the wrong number. But
maybe it includes people that are on the practice squad.
What's amazing, Dom, was the Eagles have flipped the page. I mean, they flipped the entire team. Harry Roseman gets Executive of the Year. Eagles don't get any other awards. A lot of people think Nick Sirianni maybe has this kind of roster but didn't do a great job. He exceeded expectations. Brandon Graham could have. Jalen could be the MVP. Mahomes probably will. But Harry Roseman gave Nick Sirianni a team, whether it's 5 or 8 or whatever it is, the script has been flipped from 5 years ago, and here they are again. That's amazing.
It is. And, it's funny, starting about 2 years after they won the Super Bowl, every time somebody would email me or tweet me, it would be, when are they going to fire Howie? How could he still be safe? It's a couple of years after they just won the Super Bowl, and he was Executive of the Year that year. Now, he made mistakes. You can look at some of his draft picks, and but you could look at Bill Polian when he was around. You can look at George Young when he was the GM in the Giants.
He's human.
And he's had another. The offseason, what they did, picking up A.J. Brown, picking up Hassan Reddick, they've kind of positioned themselves for the next couple of years with, picking up Jordan Davis with the first, moving up in the draft to get him, and then getting a second pick next year. Just amazing.
It really is amazing. He's positioned them so well, and Executive of the Year, different quarterback. It's really amazing what Harry Roseman's done. Maybe one of the great offseason makeovers ever, from a little engine that could, 9-8 playoff team last year, to the big dog in the house, 14-3, 16-3 now in the playoffs this year. When we come back, I'm going to say 2 words to Damo and Sean. They're going to have different points of view on it. It's called Media Day. No question, just Media Day. A player's point of view, a writer's point of view. When the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues from the Hard Rock Cafe, where we have Bud Light happy hour every Monday to Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. $1 off Bud Light, Sam Adams, and Blue Moon Drafts. $6 House Chardonnay and Merlot. $5 Smirnoff and Cruise and Rum singles. $7 for doubles. And Friday Night live music every Friday at 6 and 9 p.m. at the Hard Rock No Cover, the best local artists on the main stage every week. Make your reservations. Sean Landeta has a little friend named John Bon Jovi. Be cool if he was here someday. Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues with Paul and Sean. Media Day. What does it mean? We'll find out after this.
Hard Rock Cafe in Center City at 12th and Market Streets has it all. Great food takes center stage with dine-in and pickup available. Their burgers are so famous, they have their own chauffeurs. So order delivery and catering too. So if you're celebrating or just getting the band together, Hard Rock Cafe's got your back. For more info, hit up hardrockcafe.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Currently featuring a holiday promotion. If you reserve your party now, your guests are rewarded with 2 gifts of your choosing. Contract required. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Hard Rock Cafe Philadelphia in downtown Center City for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
All right, welcome back to the Hard Rock Cafe, the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Super Bowl edition, at least to start of Super Bowl, 2 weeks. Hopefully back here next week for another. Join us here at Hard Rock for live entertainment in the cafe every Wednesday. Enjoy some great food and happy hour specials for drinks every Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m. here at the Hard Rock, Philadelphia, 12th and Market Streets. Come on down. A lot of people come on down to something Monday night of Super Bowl week, guys. It's at least with a two-week lag called Media Day, which has been lampooned. How long have you been a black quarterback? Doug Williams was asked as everybody struggles to find their own unique question. Sean, you've been there from a player's point of view. Damo, from a media point of view, every player's there. Every media on earth apparently is there. So, guys, the question is simply Media Day. What about it?
You know, it really was something that was much more than we've ever seen. Now, playing in New York, we probably got more media every day than most teams. But as you said, these people from not only the country, the world, and, you know, to literally have 1,000, 2,000 people, and to have something where every player, there was a table with your name on a card. And you know, the bigger stars had many more people, but every single player, whether you were a backup, a rookie, anybody, you know, it's amazing how many interviews you did. You know, you did more than you ever did in your life, and this is taking place in this huge area, and you're just like, wow, this is unbelievable.
What's the dumbest question you got?
I don't remember. I don't think I got any. I don't recall any questions being out of line. Most of them were just, you know, asking about the season and punting and this and that, but it was really, really something to see, and especially when I'd look, you know, at my teammate Lawrence Taylor literally have 500-600 people around him. You could barely see him, and Phil Simms, our quarterback, just, you know, the main guys, the way that they were just swamped every day was just amazing to see. Kind of made you say to yourself, boy, as much as I'd like to be them, I'm glad I'm not them today.
All right, Dom, on the other side, you got to think up a unique question that nobody else is going to come up with, and what unique challenges does Media Day present for a reporter?
Well, I mean, I'm not looking for a unique question. I'm looking for whatever my story is. It was a lot easier doing it when it was the team I was covering that was in it, because we had so many people there. You had your own. You know what you were focusing on. You know who to go to. You didn't. You know, the difficult part. I mean, they've changed it over the years. Back when Sean was playing, it was in the stadium. The media day. Then they had the hotels. They used the hotels ballrooms later in the week. But they would have the whole. You'd be out in the field. They'd all have their own. What do you call those, risers, and and then other players would be down lower. About, I want to say 6-7 years ago, they switched it where now they have it in an indoor arena in the town where they're having it. Hockey arena, basketball arena, much smaller. No less people, just more congested. It's just crazy. It's just claustrophobic. And you get nothing out of it. Like you said, because there's so many stupid questions being asked, you're trying to do.
What's the dumbest you ever heard?
I mean, if you, I can't remember. It's like if you were. I mean, if the famous Barbara Walters, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? That's actually sane compared to some. I mean, because you've got comedians that are there. You got kids asking questions for Nickelodeon. I mean, it's crazy. But you can't. I mean, Monday is I would never go there looking for a serious story because you're not going to get more than one question to ask a guy that's like the quarterback or something. Your best hope is like you catch the owner off to the side or the GM where the group is smaller and you're able to focus on serious questions.
Remember Marshawn Lynch at Media Day coming to do one interview with Deion Sanders. If it's possible for a Super Bowl to be even more than it normally is in Phoenix, which has hosted Super Bowls, hopefully the roof will be open. Merrill hates dome football stadiums, but it could even be more nuts than normal this year, guys, because there's a golf tournament called the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Open, the weekend of the Super Bowl, which is in Phoenix this year. When it's not there, that's one thing, but the stadium golf course where the fans on the 16th hole, it's an awesome site. Phoenix will be jammed to begin with for the Super Bowl, which is clearly the headliner of the weekend, but the Phoenix Open, just a cluster bleep again with people. What's it like Super Bowl week as a player and as a media member with all the stuff you can do every night or can't do every night? Did Parcells let you guys explore or not?
Yeah, we had a lot of freedom. He's like, look, you guys are grown-ups. He said there's no reason for any of you this week to be out after midnight. Not one reason. You have the whole off season to do that. I'm going to give you a curfew, but that doesn't mean you got to be out till then. And I got to tell you, the majority of guys, I don't know if maybe there was more than a handful that were out because most of the guys were like, look, you can go out and have dinner, you can see friends, you can do this, do that, but you got to be up early for practice the next day. And this is a Super Bowl we're talking about. Bill would always say, look, if you want to come back here in the off season and go out and stay out late, he said, I'll buy you a ticket to come back. But while we're here, be here for business. And I would hear things of maybe other teams doing stuff, but we went out, but nobody really did anything crazy because so much was at stake.
All right, Donald, Nick Sirianni is a first-year coach. Any problems this presents? Obviously,
Second-year coach.
Second-year coach, excuse me, first-time Super Bowl coach.
Right.
Obviously, it's the first time. Everybody has a Super Bowl for the first time. You always hear people say, well, if I had known that the first time, practice times, whatever. Is there any traps a coach can fall into or anybody else coming to a Super Bowl for the first time? We're concerned with Nick, obviously.
I don't think so. I'm sure he's talked with coaches that have been through this, so that he's gotten a lot of advice. He's dealing with an organization that's been through this before, so I'm sure Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have given him advice. And as far as things like focus, I mean, they've got Jalen Hurts. He is good. This is a team that's focused, and if anybody is not focused, Jalen's going to make sure they are.
By the way, you mentioned Jeffrey Lurie. I don't know exactly what the procedure is. I should, but I don't, for an owner to get in the Hall of Fame. But Jeffrey Lurie is his third Super Bowl as an owner. He won 5 years ago, obviously. He's lauded by many for the way he handles the team, the salary cap, how he hires coaches, a lot of things. If the Eagles win this Super Bowl, what's the roadway for an owner to the Hall of Fame? Explain if you could.
Well, I mean, there's a contributors category, which is what the owners are in now. A long time ago, they used to contributors like even Ed Sable was going up against players, which is kind of crazy. And it's even more amazing that Ed Sable made the Hall of Fame under that format. Now there's a separate category for coaches. There's a separate category for actually, I think they rotate now every year between a coach and a contributor. But I mean, Bob Kraft's going to go in at some point, and there's a few others. I don't, Jeffrey Lurie's got a ways to go. I don't think.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the more, I mean, owners are judged by, not only winning. Jerry Jones got in a few years ago. I had a little problem with that. I thought they were rushing that, but it's part winning, it's part what you've done for the league. In Jerry Jones's case, he had made these guys a ton of money.
Fired his offensive coordinator today, by the way, to me for no reason.
Yeah, that was kind of.
Went to the
probably
Chargers?
should have fired his coach and kept his offensive coordinator.
Do you worry about it, guys, when a coach is fired or anybody in life, no matter what they do, friends of yours, whatever? Andy Reid in Philly is an example. When somebody's fired and they get a new job in 0.3 of a second, do you ever think, well, maybe, did I do the right thing? Kellen Moore got a job already. Andy Reid got a job the next day. Is there any harmony to that, or is that just a coincidence?
Well, I mean, Andy Reid had spent 14 years. I mean, you looked at his record in
time.
Philadelphia. Yeah, as I wrote today, I mean, he was advised by a lot of his friends, take a year off. His son Garrett had died that August. He was still grieving. He had just gone through an awful season, and he clearly wasn't focused. And so a lot of people thought he should have taken a year off. But, I mean, Kansas City came to him, offered him the job, and he felt that was the best thing for him. And you can't, hard to say that he was wrong.
All right, Sean, question that has no relevance because there's no answer to this question, but people understand why I'm asking it. Baseball, you wear a cap into the Hall of Fame as a designation of what team you thought. You don't decide, the Hall of Fame does. Scott Rowland, will he wear a Phillies cap, Cardinal cap, a Reds cap, whatever. That doesn't happen in the NFL. You just have a bust. My father's from Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame town. I've been there a million times. You just have a bust. But if you did wear a cap in the Hall of Fame, and who knows what you expect his career to do from here on in, you think Andy Reid goes in as an Eagle or a Chief?
Well, if that'd be an interesting, situation there. I mean, it would depend what happens the rest of his time with the Chiefs, and it could be either one. Now, if this is going to be his third Super Bowl in 4 years, if they win this.
Here.
And, who knows what he does there. Maybe he gets thought of more as a head coach in Kansas City because of that. But that'd be a toss-up because, what he did here was outstanding. But, he may have even surpassed that in Kansas City.
What do you think, Tom?
Well, I mean, the good thing is that there may be a perception how he goes in as, but both the Chiefs and the Eagles will,
claim him.
Will claim him, just like Dick Vermeil with the Rams and the Chiefs and the Eagles when he went in last year. So it's not a decision you have to make. Because he won the Super Bowls with the Chiefs, if he wins another one, and at some point he's going to win another one as long as he and Patrick Mahomes are together. I mean, I would think he'll be identified, particularly because it's more recently, he'll be identified as a Chief.
All right, we'll talk about Mahomes' injury after the break. But before the break, a couple points about yesterday's game. The first one, Sean and I watched ball games together. Analytics is what it is. It's smart people telling coaches that are conservative what to do, and scouts and general managers and the like. But sometimes math doesn't apply. To me, if you have a great offense, the Eagles have scored now 10 times, including yesterday on the first drive. The 49ers wound up in a situation where they couldn't win no matter what. But they shot themselves in the foot at the beginning of the game before any of this happened by deferring. I mentioned it every week. Nick Sirianni deferred every time he could this year. The last 20 times in championship games, the teams won the toss. They've elected to defer. Sean, why, with a team like the Eagles, would you ever defer? Take the ball. Why? How do smart people shoot themselves in the foot so often?
Well, I think they look at that, that paper that talks about the results, and maybe sometimes they don't look at that close. I know this. If I'm San Francisco and I see that the Eagles have scored 10 times in a row with the ball, I'm not going to give them the ball if I know that. I know
even with the number one defense.
No,
impose your will. Don't.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And it makes a lot of sense. The Eagles, I think, have scored on their first possession in 10 of their last 13 games.
Yep.
So they feel that when they first touch that ball in the first quarter, they're going to score. Now, they're going to. What they want to do is, they put their defense out there, defer if they win the toss, which they won 14 of the first 17 coin tosses.
That's
during
amazing.
I know it is.
Jeez.
You want to take Nick to a casino.
I'd say. Wow.
But so I mean, their thinking is, okay, our defense is really good. They stop them, and then we score because our offense is, that's what we do. And then we get the ball to start the second half. It all makes perfect sense to them.
Not to me.
And it seems to make perfect sense to most of the league because almost every team's doing it now.
Overthinking, guys. Overthinking. Sometimes it's not just about the numbers. We'll talk on the way back about something that
Jolly.
Well, I mean, it's common sense. Listen, common sense can trump math in some cases. And I'll talk. You bring any physicist from MIT to me to argue that point, and I'll destroy him. I don't know how else to say that. It's not about the numbers. It's not about the probabilities. It's not about the .08 this or that. Most of the time I agree with that, and I've taken stats. I can do any analytics you want. Common sense prevails sometimes. Common sense should have prevailed yesterday for the Niners, guys. We're going to take a quick break and come back. But Devontae Smith with a great catch on third down to begin the game, or was it? And Kyle Shanahan didn't challenge, and it stood. Bank Air in Eagles' favor, collect 200, collect 7 toward a 31-7 win. We'll talk about that when the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues from the Hard Rock Cafe following this. Stay with us.
Hard Rock Cafe in Center City has it all. Great food, free live entertainment on Friday nights, and they're the epicenter for special occasions. Let them rock and roll to you with catering for your next gathering or book a private event space for your band's next meeting. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or late night, let them turn it up at Hard Rock Cafe at 12th and Market Street. For more info, visit hardrockcafe.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
Fall into relaxation at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. For an introductory price of just $69.95, enjoy the tranquility of their massage services and the rejuvenating glow their facial services provide. They even have specialty services such as a pumpkin facial or their signature hot stone massage. Restore, relax, and reset at one of Hand and Stone's 57 locations in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, for an introductory price of just $69.95. Call or book online at handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
Don't hang out alone in the man cave this football season. Hang out at Cheerleaders with sexy entertainers, $4 Miller Lights, Jameson specials, and awesome game day prizes during all Sunday and Monday football games. Stop in before, during, or after the game to see your favorite entertainers and your chance to win an awesome game day prize. The most epic game day experience is at Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, where champions play. Open daily from noon till 2 a.m.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Currently featuring a holiday promotion. If you reserve your party now, your guests are rewarded with 2 gifts of your choosing. Contract required. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia in downtown Center City for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Paul Domowitch.
Philly is going wild, folks. Grease poles, doesn't matter. Fans partying, having a great time in Philadelphia. It binds the city together. It's awesome to see a lot of people be heading out, winning the lottery, or finding their way on the secondary market after the Super Bowl. We wish everybody the absolute best of times, and hopefully we'll have a great game in 2 weeks. Part of the reason we have a great game in 2 weeks is because the Eagles are in it. Part of the reason the Eagles are in it is Devontae Smith yesterday, guys, on third down, caught a long pass from Jalen Hurts. And to me, the thing about Kyle Shanahan, he's seen as a genius coach. Part of being a genius is being perceptive. And if he sees Devontae Smith getting up like a Chinese fire drill and saying, hurry, guys, let's run the play, I'm almost throwing that challenge flag based on his reaction, because I'm thinking he didn't catch that ball, did he? Whether I know whether an angle got it or not. I blame Kyle Shanahan absolutely for not throwing a challenge flag there. Damo?
Sort of, but I don't know what kind of view he had of Devontae making that motion. I think he needed to rely a little bit on the cornerback that was over there.
I don't think he saw it either.
His guys up in the booth they're never until after the commercial break was an obvious look. The one that showed that the ball was loose, they didn't show that until after they came back. So, but a coach is kind of caught between, do I want to lose a timeout here? But I would, if I were at him, I would have used it there.
Basically, it was a point-driven play. They wound up getting 7, could have got 3, but.
No, I agree with you. This is where you would think the league, somebody saw that before the next play, but not in time to put it up on the screen where the San Francisco people could see it and challenge it. But that's where somebody's got to have a buzzer right to the referee. Just because you run that next play before they can challenge it, you shouldn't get away with it. It's all about getting it right. And who knows what things could have happened. I still think the Eagles win, but
they win the game
I still think they win. But that was huge.
Well, that's what the colleges do that. I mean, they got a guy up there who, if he sees a play like that, hold it. We got to I want to see this.
But just based on the reaction, not necessarily the play, but I'm just basing purely on Devontae's reaction. You see him and saying he didn't catch that ball, but it is what it is.
Well, and also all these guys, every team's got an advisor up there that tells the coach whether to throw the flag or not. So
I have a buddy of mine that works for an NFL team that he tells the coach someone lay down, someone pull a hamstring.
But
if you know what I mean.
That's the guy that's caught hell after the game. The guy that didn't tell Kyle.
Yeah, that was my first thought. It's like someone could get fired for that, but then I think to myself, well, what if he didn't see that? He couldn't relay that down. But somebody did see it, and that person should be able to buzz the official right away.
What we all did see is after Brock Purdy went 4 for 4, he dropped back, threw a third down pass. Arm was hit by a guy that's had an unbelievable year for the Philadelphia Eagles named Hassan Reddick, who wreaked havoc yesterday. Couple sacks, forced fumble recovery. He didn't get a lot of press or pub because he's not a self-promoter. He's not controversial. He went to Temple. Nobody knew who he was when he played college football. Played in Arizona, kind of an outpost. Won't be for the Super Bowl in Carolina. Guys, Hassan Reddick, I know, Domo, you voted for him for Defensive Player of the Year. What a performance yesterday.
Yeah, just another great performance. It's weird in this league. You don't get credit for things until the next year. I mean, it's even your own players. I mean, they don't vote you to the Pro Bowl till a year after they see, they realize you're pretty good. Hassan Reddick is the Defensive Player of the Year. You didn't hear from Bosa yesterday. Now, granted, he was playing it looked like he was playing on one leg much.
And had Lane Johnson on the other side.
Yeah, and then he was going up against Lane. But I mean, Hassan Reddick has been a difference maker all year. His sack total's been regular season. He had 16. 9 of them were on third down, which is when you want a guy coming up with big plays. He's just been a phenomenal addition.
He has. I mean, we've been watching the Eagles for a long time. I mean, when is the last time? I mean, do you say Reggie White? When is the last time you've seen somebody put these kind of numbers up? From that position, that you might have to go that far back.
I mean, Reggie White was obviously a better player than Hassan Reddick, as great as Hassan is.
But we're talking about the year that he's had this year is a Reggie White type of performance.
And they got Hassan Reddick. Howie Roseman stole him from the free agent market, 3 years, $45 million, which doesn't sound like an absolute steal to someone like Sean, who played back in the day where that would be a Brinks robbery, but it is what it is today.
They look at his size and they underestimate him.
Yep.
Unless I'm getting my plays mixed up, he beat a tight end on that play where he hurt Purdy.
Yeah, was it Croft?
Why
What's his name?
is a the end trying to block the Eagles' best pass rusher? It makes no sense for that matchup.
Yeah, I felt bad for that kid. I saw him laying on the ground, and I didn't even really know much about him. And to ask him to do that's a tall order.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Now, Eagles obviously in the Super Bowl. Wish them the best of luck. I think they're going to win the game. We'll pick it all before we leave. But some NFL news, other news today. Salary cap's going up $16 million. The league year starts in the middle of March. We've got the combine, blah, blah, blah. But the coaching carousel, Damo, is spinning. The free agent carousel is starting to spin. Your thoughts on whatever?
Yeah, Houston's probably going to be the next team to hire a coach. DeMeco Ryans pretty much their choice. They were supposed to interview him one last time, and then
you don't have the Super Bowl to worry about now.
No, that's why. The other jobs they're still interviewing people. As far as the Eagles are concerned, it looks like Gannon's staying. He's not really a finalist for any of the jobs. Shane Steichen is still he's still in the group being considered in Indianapolis, but I don't think he's going to get that either. So nobody expected both of these guys to be back, and it looks like that's going to happen.
I want to hear what your point of view, because to me it's shocking. It really is. I can't believe not only that the Colts interviewed Jeff Saturday to be their coach, but they actually bringing him back for a second interview.
Who's their owner?
I mean, their guy, I understand
That's
who
the
their
answer.
owner is, but he was 1-7. Listen, Saturday is a terrific player. I'm sure his football IQ is great, and I'm sure he knows the game. And I know a lot of their losses were close, but you were 1-7. How can you consider that guy to be your coach? And I know he didn't have the best setup there, but how can he be considered?
One thing you're forgetting, Sean, is he had a 33-0 lead against the Vikings. I didn't see the second half, but I'm sure they won that game 50 or 60-0, right?
But I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then, now I understand. I didn't realize that he was a consultant. He's talking to Irsay every week. He was a great player. He's friendly with him, and there's no question.
That's why he got
that
the
had
job.
a lot to do with
Yeah.
it. Because when it first happened, they were criticized very heavily, and I was like, look, let's wait and see what happens. Maybe he's pretty good.
But Tom,
1-7. I mean, how can you get a second interview?
But that's the advantage of having a Jeff Lurie who understands as opposed to a Jim Irsay who doesn't, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's only getting a second interview. I think right now he's still the favorite.
That's
And they've interviewed like 19 people for that job.
Yeah, they have. What has surprised me is I thought Jeff would, and I like Jeff. He's a smart guy. I just thought he would say, you know, this has been a nightmare. I don't want any part of it. I'm going back to civilian life where I can work, 8 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever the hell. And but I think, he's, how, I mean, you're an athlete. You're driven. Something like this happens to you, you're more determined than ever to prove that you can do it. And I think that's his situation right now. He wants to prove that he can be a good coach. So I think right now he's still a very good possibility to get that job.
Yeah, I can see him feeling that, but you would
think the owner
and the GM would say, look, Jeff, a few of these losses were coach, and you weren't the one that didn't tackle well or pass well or throw well. But in the end, 1-7.
I don't think their general manager is involved in this. This is strictly Irsay.
An ownership decision. People have asked me, I'm sure they've asked you, Damo, they might have asked you, Sean, who has the best answer to this. Boy, you win a Super Bowl, these players making millions of dollars, but they want the ring. They want the ring on their finger to wear around and show the symbol that they won a Super Bowl, NBA championship, World Series, whatever it is. Philly having a great sports year, World Series, Super Bowl, hopefully the Sixers, whatever can continue it on. It's a great time for Philly, but people say, what's a Super Bowl ring worth? Sean, you won 2 Super Bowl rings in your career. You've had 30-some years after that. How often do you get a job request or something because you win a Super Bowl? How much do you think that's monetized for you over the years?
It's probably been much more than I realize, I've always had a different take, and I'm probably not correct, but obviously winning the Super Bowl is everything you want to do, and being a Super Bowl champion is a big deal. But at the same time, I think through the years how many great, terrific players that were not Super Bowl champions, not because of them. If they had 10 guys on their team like that, they would have a ton.
Marino.
And there's so many great players that didn't get a ring, and no disrespect, every player in the NFL is good. But there are guys that played 1 or 2 years who may not have played and have 2 rings. So I kind of wrestle with that. But that being said, there is no question, that you being part of a Super Bowl winning team does so much more for you than you realize. It really is that big a deal.
Some guys wear their rings. We've had Dick Vermeil on, other Super Bowl winning people, coaches, players. You don't wear your rings.
I don't. I usually bring them with me most places I go because you run into fans. And if there's been 1,000 people through the years that I've let take pictures with the rings because it gives me a lot of joy to see how excited they are to do that. And that takes no effort on my part because I think, God, if I was a kid or I love football, to be able to try on a Super Bowl ring is a big deal for the fans. So, for me, they're a little bit loud, but there are some people. I know Andy Reid wears his Green Bay Packer ring every day.
Yep.
Every day, all the years I was here. And
even with the Eagles.
Even with the Eagles, he'd wear it every single day, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you've actually got 4 championship rings, counting the 2 in the USFL.
Yeah, I was very fortunate here in the USFL with the Philadelphia Stars. We had a couple there too, but there is no doubt that even when I know how important it is, it's even more important.
All right, one interesting thing, we've had you multiple times on the show. I don't think we've ever talked about this. One of your good friends, Sean Landeta, played in New York for a bunch of years. I know Sean Landeta very well. Sean's like a doctor. Sean knows everybody. Every doctor knows every other doctor. You don't know how it happens. Dr. Wu in Beijing, I know him. Sean knows everybody in this world. If I say my friend Larry in Skabunk in Australia, Sean will say, well, how's Melanie? Ask him how Melanie is. How you know everybody. But one of the people that you do know and know very well, and he actually got into football as an owner of the Philadelphia Soul, was John Bon Jovi. What's that been like through the years, and how big a football fan actually is Bon Jovi?
Oh, he's a huge football fan. I met him back in 1989. I can't believe we're going on 35 years, and he was a huge New York Giants fan, and I was playing for that team at the time. And, you know, we got him out to some games, and he was on the sideline with us in Super Bowl 25. And, you know, just through the years, he's been a great friend and, you know, someone I've learned a lot from. You know, I tell the story sometimes when I go out and speak to kids that, you know, there's a rock and roll singer who's a billionaire who's sold millions of records and is a huge star. And after all these years, he still takes voice lessons because he still wants to improve. He still wants to be the best he can be. And you can see the kids' eyes like they can't believe it, that why would he take voice lessons? He's a great singer. He has everything. But guess what? He wants to continue to improve. And when you look how, you know,
well, Tiger Woods has a coach. Jalen Hurts.
He's been so generous through the years. He's opened up a place in New York that has given out thousands of meals. He'll be in there sometimes washing dishes and doing stuff in the back. I mean, can't say enough about how generous and how great he's been. And, you know, to me and my family, he's been a great friend for a lot of years.
Anybody you know, Domo, that's that people might not know about, that's kind of a hidden asset to our society?
Not I can think of it off the top of my head, Jolly.
Bon Jovi's like the vice president of New Jersey. Springsteen's the president. Bon Jovi's the vice president. You think he'll go out to the game? I mean, the Super Bowl gets everyone, celebrities, random people. Some people go to every Super Bowl. Is he one of them?
You know, he's been to a bunch. He's become very friendly. When we were in New York together, Bill Belichick was our defensive coordinator, became friendly with Bill through Bill. He's been a great friend of Robert Kraft. You know, he's probably in 4 or 5 games with Kraft in New England. I'm sure he's been to Super Bowls with them. But he loves football. I know he'd like to be a part owner of a team one day. And as you said, he was the owner of the Philadelphia Soul here. They used to get 16,000, 17,000. Yep. He would go down on the field and walk around the perimeter and sign autographs for an hour, you know, which you would never see anybody else do.
Neither he nor Springsteen ever have appeared at like halftime show at Super Bowl, have they?
You know, I'm not sure.
No.
I would like to think that at least one maybe he did, but maybe not.
I don't think Springsteen did a halftime.
I'm thinking maybe Bon Jovi. I'm wondering if he did San Diego, because I remember it was 2002 when I was here with the Eagles, and we had a chance to go play in San Diego if we'd have beat Tampa there, and I think he was going to play.
We only got a minute here. Damo, when I was at Super Bowl in 2018 in Minneapolis, Justin Timberlake played the halftime. I was doing something. I didn't bother. Do you bother watching the halftime show?
No, I'm usually typing. I mean, I'm on deadline, so the press box, there's very few people up there that have time to.
TV or there, do you ever watch a halftime show?
You know, I don't. I know it's very popular, but usually that time I just try and go and relax or read about the game, you know, through the first half.
What'd you do at halftime when you were playing?
You know, the one year, I'm trying to think what year was it. Was it 86 or 90?
It's a much longer halftime.
There was a bunch of us playing backgammon. Keep ourselves busy.
You know, that's
because it was so let me tell you, the halftime during the season is only 12 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
You go in, you go to the bathroom, you have an orange, and they're telling you got to be out in 2 minutes. It is so long that you like looking for some. There are guys reading, you know, guys laying up. They have their uniform on. I remember we were playing backgammon one of those years.
I remember Doug Peterson the week before the Super Bowl practicing halftime. They're at practice. He takes them into the locker room. So that they can get used to the downtime, and then brings them back out.
Because it was a long halftime.
Well, we're all wondering here in Philadelphia whether Nick Sirianni can be Doug Peterson Jr. Obviously, Andy Reid, the Kelseys, millions of angles. Hopefully, Dom, we're here next week talking about it. Super Bowl is a privilege. Philadelphia is on a 2-week holiday. Sean, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully, the Eagles can join your crew and have a Super Bowl ring. The 5 that were there in 17. It's great for a city. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. Best wishes to the Eagles.
Damo, thanks so much.
It's been another great show, Jolly.
Been
another
a blast.
Great season.
Yep. Hopefully we're here next week at the Hard Rock Cafe at 12th and Market Street. Chris Sermer produced this fine program. Keith Noonan back at our station helped to produce as well. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that's been associated with this show all year. Again, hope to see you next week. I'm Paul Jolovitz for Paul Domowitch and Sean Landeta for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff saying good night and go Eagles!
You're listening to 1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton, and now heard as well on FM at 107.3 FM, W297CL, Levittown.